Welcome back to my channel. So in this video you're going to see the progress of 4 more quilts, and the progress is going to be of my chicken salad quilt, my French vanilla quilt, traffic jam, and a little bit of quilting on a quilt that is already made. So if you like this style of quilting, please give my channel a like and a subscribe, and now let's get on with the video. So the first quilt I have to show you is my chicken salad quilt, and it is blocks made out of Farm Girl Vintage and Farm Girl Vintage 2. The original quilt is applique chickens, but I'm doing it the way that the Fat Quarter Shop did it, and I'm piecing blocks from both of these books. This is a quilt by Holt, and the layout is free on the Riley Blake website, but you do need the books to actually make the blocks or the templates to make these chickens that you see now. Any 12-inch block will work with this quilt because the blocks are 12-inch finished, 12.5-inch unfinished. So any 12.5-inch block will work. So here I'm just showing you how I keep track of what blocks I've done and what blocks I haven't done. So here you can see I've marked a big fat cross in blocks I've done. So they're the 5 blocks I currently have got finished and ready to put in the quilt. The ones that haven't got the cross are the ones that I haven't done and I still need to do. And I also still need to do all of the border around each of the blocks. So as you can see, I'm almost halfway there, I would say, but not quite. So here is block 1, and it's called Pie Cherries, and it's found in Farm Girl Vintage, the first of the book series. So here is block 2, and block 2 is called Fresh Pears. It is also found in the first Farm Girl Vintage book. Here is block 3, and block 3 is called Strawberry Jam, and Strawberry Jam is found in Farm Girl Vintage number 2. So here is the 4th block, and the 4th block is called Kettles On. This one is found in the Farm Girl Vintage number 1 book. And the final block I've got to show you today is called Mama Hen. And Mama Hen is also found in the first Farm Girl Vintage. As you've gathered so far, a lot of the blocks have come from the first Farm Girl Vintage book. So far there's only been one that's come from the second Farm Girl Vintage book. So here I'm just showing you the back of the Mama Hen block and just showing you how I press my seams. So all of these fabrics have been starched and all of my seams are pressed open. I personally like all of my seams to be pressed open because I like how the block sits a lot flatter and looks nicer in the quilt. There are, for instance, times I don't press my seams open, and that is mainly if the fabric is unstarched or if it's going to be sold on eBay. I tend to not do those ones because I know a lot of people don't like the seams being pressed open. I personally have had no trouble. I sew with a smaller stitch length, so when I press my seams open, my stitch length is at about 1.5 millimeters. So I personally have absolutely no problems with pressing my seams open and them falling apart or whatever other reason people use for not to press them open. So here are all of my 5 blocks together on my design wall. Nothing's joined yet, they are still in the block stages. I'm hoping to have them joined in the next video. So I like how they are looking together and how they are coming together. I actually think these blocks are very nice. Laurie Holt does a fantastic job with her books and her blocks. They are stunning blocks when they are sewn up into a block. So the neutral you can see around all the blocks, that is actually forming the sashing. So the sashing is getting done when you sew the blocks, because that gets done once you've sewn the block together. So when I have finished sewing all of these blocks together, the only thing I should have left to do is the outer border, as everything else is done now at this stage of the quilt. So my second quilt I've got to show you is actually my quilting. So this is the Rainbow Heart Quilt. It's a pattern I found on the Missouri Star Quilt Company YouTube channel. So this is a gift from my friend who lost her 5th child back in January of 2022. She's now pregnant with her 6th child and due early in 2024. Because this 6th child is a rainbow baby, because it's a child that is going to be born after you've lost a child, then that is how I decided to do this quilt for her. So the baby that she lost, she was about 38 weeks pregnant, so she gave birth to a stillborn. It just died. They don't know how or why. And I've known this friend since we were in kindergarten, and I'm now in my 40s, so I thought, yes, she deserves a quilt. Quilts for me are very hard to give to people because not everyone wants them or likes them. I did a wall hanging last year in 2022 in remembrance of the son that she did lose, and she actually has that on her wall. So I thought, yes, she can have a quilt, and I thought this is the perfect pattern for her and for baby number 6. So here you can just see a bit of my quilting lines and how I go about quilting the quilt. So I basically quilt half of the quilt first to get all of my pins out. I like to have all of the pins out, especially in this quilt, because all of these fabrics are being starched and all of the fabrics the seams are being pressed open. So I like to get the pins out because I don't want the pins to leave a mark for too long in my quilt. So I like to get them out ASAP. You can see it's a bit crinkled because it does get folded when it's not getting any quilting done on it, and so I don't iron it between each of my quilting stuff. I just quilt and just go with it until it's finished. When it's finished, it will get a wash and a dry before it goes to my friend early 2024. So I really like this quilt pattern, and this was very easy to put together. I did this in a weekend. I starched and did the quilt, sewed the quilt top together all on Saturday and Sunday. So it is very easy to do. So the quilting on this quilt is just on the diagonal, and I'm using my walking foot. So it's just basically a cross hatch. I wanted something simple because I actually want the heart to be the feature and the quilting just to add texture to this quilt. And I'm using a light grey thread that I get from Spotlight. It is 100% cotton thread, which all of my piecing threads are. So my third quilt is called French Vanilla, and this is found in the Perfect 10 book, and it's written by It's So Emma, and It's So Emma is owned by the Fat Quarter Shop. This is another easy quilt. As you can see, it is only squares and rectangles. That is it, and a bit of sashing. So this quilt will go together very quickly and very easily. And as you can understand by the title, Perfect 10 Quilts, all you need is a layer cake to make this quilt. That is all you need, and a bit of sashing, so some extra fabric for a bit of the sashing, but the blocks take only a layer cake. So here are all the blocks I've done so far. So as you can see, I have done about 90% of my blocks so far. This is not the order that they are going to go in. This is just where I've put them for the purpose of this video. When all the blocks are done, I will show you the layout and how I disperse all of my fabrics. I just try and keep all of my fabrics away from each other. I don't want the same fabrics touching each other. I don't like that. It just irritates me, so that's about the only rule I have. Each fabric has to be away from each other, basically. So this quilt would come together probably in a weekend if I was doing just this quilt, but I tend to only work on a quilt for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half max, and this is basically what I got done in an hour. So you can imagine how quickly this quilt is going to come together if you're working on just this quilt. If you're the type of person that works on one quilt at a time, this would be done within a couple of days. But I'm not that sort of person, because I have quilts that I sell on eBay I need to get done. I have quilts that I do for my personal projects I want to get done. So I work on quite a few quilts at a time, as you can see. My fourth quilt is Traffic Jam by Sloan, and this is a free pattern on her website, I Love to Make Quilts. So this is another easy pattern. It is only squares basically. So you make the 4 patch and then you make the block once the 4 patches are together. It is that simple. This is another one that is unstarched, as it will go on eBay to be sold when it is finished, and it is another one that would probably only take a day or two to do. So here I'm just showing you all the 4 patches I've done so far. I don't know how many I've done, but I have done quite a few, and I'm hoping that when I come back to this project, these 4 patches will form a fair few blocks. That is what I'm hoping anyway. I'm not changing the layout on this quilt at all. I'm doing it exactly how the pattern says for this quilt, and same as the one before, the French vanilla. Both of them are getting done to the exact directions and measurements as the pattern says. They aren't getting changed. So what you saw is what my one will look like, but I'm trying to use up all of my 2.5 inch scrap squares for this project. So I don't care how many times I use a square in this project, all of my 2.5 inch squares I want to be used by the time I'm finished this project. So these are the 4 blocks I have got done so far. It's not many, but at the end of the day, I only did it for an hour. So in an hour, I did all those 4 patches that you just previously saw. Plus, I have also done these 4 squares. Plus, I have also cut out a heap of the white squares that you see in the 4 corners. So I got a lot of stuff ready that next time I sew on this project, all I have to basically do is put the blocks together, which is going to be so good because I'm going to get a lot more done in the hour that I allocate to this project. So there is sashing that goes in between these blocks, which I will also be putting in, because I do like the separation that sashing brings between blocks and gives your eye somewhere to rest, especially when a quilt is going to be scrappy and has a lot of fabrics in it. I think your eyes need somewhere to rest. So if you enjoyed this style of video and seen the progress of more and more quilts that I'm doing and I'm working on, please subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. And until my next video, God bless and have a great afternoon.